and then we're going to end up out in the Mountain West as San Diego State taking on Boise State. So back-to-back road games here for San Diego State. Just a crazy finish to that game in the pit there in New Mexico over the weekend. San Diego State gets it done, and now Boise State trying to handle business on her own home court, laying 2.5, 134 as the total here. And really the two best defenses, Marco, in the Mountain West going at it here. So how do you approach this game tonight?
Yeah, and it's the two best teams, period, in the Mountain West. They're 1-2 in the standings, and San Diego State is a top 25 team. You look at this one, and we've seen the line move in this game. The overnight line opened up at -1 Boise State. We're seeing 2.5s across the board. I've even seen a couple threes pop up as this continues to rise. And the reason it's rising is this fits one of the popular angles that everybody's talking about this year in college basketball. And the angle that I'm talking about is when you get a ranked team playing an unranked team, and the unranked team is the favorite. It's been like, money in the bank. It was hitting at a 65% clip. Now, in the last 10 days, we've seen it cool off a little bit. And one of the reasons it's cooled off is Adam made mention earlier, the books adjust to what's going on. And they're making you pay a premium for this because all the shows like us and around the country, all us talking heads are sharing all the information and everybody's jumping on board. Case in point, last week, and this was one of the games that Adam mentioned. He mentioned Illinois last week when the line went from 5.5 to 7.5. That was this same angle. You had a ranked team versus an unranked team. You had it with Creighton against Marquette. Creighton failed in that spot. Saturday, your Oklahoma State Cowboys got me, Joe. They got me good there with that one. Same thing, but we saw that line move from Oklahoma State -2 up to 4, and that's what you've got here. I do lean to Boise State. They're 13-1 straight up on their home floor. San Diego State has a 2-game lead in the conference standings. This is a team, though, you hate to lay points to. I always say, give me the better defensive team getting points, and I'm generally going to be there. And to me, there's no question San Diego State is the better defensive team. They always have been. But it is senior night for Boise State, and I'm going to go ahead, give them the slightest of nods. This is one of those ones, though, I'm not happy that we lost line value because this is one of those games that should be a 1 or 2 possession game at the most. And that extra bucket that you're laying could come back and bite you where.
Yep. No, amen. Amen to that here. I mean, Trig, what are you thinking here? A home team get it done tonight with Boise, or is just San Diego State too good here at this point?
Joe, this feels just like San Diego State, Utah State a couple weeks back. People piled on Utah State. I think that moved as much as Utah State -3.5. San Diego State goes in there, disrespected as an underdog, wins the game. If this continues to get bet in this fashion, and all of a sudden, like I saw threes earlier, I don't know if they're still threes. If you're seeing a 3 or a 3.5, you have to take San Diego State here. You can't lay 3 or 3.5 with Boise. That's not a good bet, in my opinion. Go back to the first meeting. I actually had a pretty big bet on San Diego State in the first meeting, but no Marcus Shaver in that game. He's obviously back here. That's a huge deal. So, horrible spot travel-wise for San Diego State. They go from Albuquerque, New Mexico, up to Boise. That's tougher than my travel from last week. I feel awful right now, Joe. I don't know if you can tell. Yep. I'm not. It's all the travel. These guys had to travel from Albuquerque up to Boise. That's tough on them. So that's definitely a support of, if Boise State, if you like Boise State, I'm kind of with Marco. I kind of threw this game out for all of these reasons. I think San Diego State's the better team. I think San Diego State could even be better than what they've shown us so far this year. Like, I don't think it's a stretch to say San Diego State might be playing on that final weekend, or at least with a chance to go to that final weekend. They are that good, in my opinion. There's no way I'm going to fade them as an underdog, but I do see sort of the spot and how it could play out in Boise's favor here. And of course, they have Marcus Shaver in this game. They did not in the first game. That is a big deal. So again, if it got to 3.5, I would probably take San Diego State, but I won't have a bet in this game.
All right. You're gonna sit on the fence there, remain neutral, see what happens in the market.
Yeah.
Rob, neither of these two teams is going to be in a rush to do anything here. They both can play defense. How do you approach this one tonight? Side, total, what are you looking at?
Yeah, the rush to Boise State, I can't disagree with Joe, but I can totally agree with the points made ahead of me that, if the rush and the pile-on gets to be too much, you have to turn and look the other way. For San Diego State, not only is it horrible travel, but I mean, that victory against New Mexico Saturday was nuts. A three-pointer at the buzzer. They came from behind and won that game. Lamont Butler hits that shot, and they go home happy. And you take a look at the New Mexico fans around the arena, and they were just in disbelief off of that shot. First time around, it was a blowout, as was mentioned here, 72-52, a 43-21 halftime lead for San Diego State. In that game, the front court duo of Mensah and Johnson for San Diego State, they crushed BSU's front court duo. Smith and Degenhart just didn't have a good game whatsoever. Mensah was really the guy in that game. The rest of it was kind of equal, but Boise State, to the point of Shaver being back, and his three-point percentage is not good this year, but Boise State shot 2 of 18 from 3 in that contest, and they're a way better three-point shooting team than that. Interesting to note, real quick, guys, that we've had a lot of talk here on this segment about how good defensively these teams are, and I went back and checked earlier. I was a little bit surprised to see that Boise State is 12-4 to the over in Mountain West Conference play this season. Their games are averaging 140.5 points per game. That is higher than what this one is tonight. In 8 home games here in Boise against league opponents, they've scored 73 or more in 7 of those 8. The only time they didn't, they scored 67 against San Jose. So a little bit of a suggestion that maybe this game could get over, or maybe if you're capable of getting college basketball team totals, Boise's total could go over. The biggest reason I think Boise State wants this game, Joe, is that this conference tournament setup is a little bit different. And if Boise State, they've got a chance to be 2. It's a slim chance, but they've got a chance to be 2 if, in fact, they win out and Nevada loses at home to UNLV on Saturday. But what they're really trying to avoid is falling to 4th or 5th, because if you fall to 4th or 5th, that means you play San Diego State again. They're going to finish number 1, and nobody wants to play San Diego State in this tournament. So they've got this game tonight, and then they go to Utah State on Saturday, which is not going to be an easy place to win. So there's a lot of emphasis on this game for Boise State. I think situationally, I really like this side. I made a small case for maybe more points than are expected here, but you have to worry somewhat about San Diego State's legs in this game, coming out of the altitude and now up to Boise. I think I'll leave it at Boise State where the price is right now. I'll try that side.
Yep, the Broncos trail San Diego State by 2 games, so this would certainly be guarantee them they wouldn't have to face them again real soon here. So good one tonight. San Diego State traveling to Boise to take on Boise State.